this one. Okay, it is 6:32. It's time to bring the meeting to order. The first thing we're going to do is introduce the commission members who write the meeting. I did not have the presence of mind to come up with a napping question that you could answer. What am I doing? Anyway, just please introduce yourself, your district, and how long you've been on the commission. And whether you're a commissioner. I will start out. My name is Bob Rice. I am a commissioner, and I have been on the commission, I think, 3 years. It's kind of a blur. And so, but I've lived in the neighborhood since 2006 when I bought the number that I currently live. Yes.
I'm Julie Burkett-Cuban. I'm a new member of NEAC. I've lived on the near east side for over around 20 years. I live over on North Ohio Avenue. And we moved from Worthington, and I have to say, it's a much more communal community, so I love it here.
My name is Lauren Davis. I'm a community member for District 3, and I have lived in the Near East Side since 2014, but kind of Old County, South Main area since 2018.
Hey, what's up? Good evening. My name is Pamela Shields. I've been on the Planning Commission as a community member, and I'm trying to calculate how many years. Like Commissioner Bob, it's a blur, but I'm coming up with the number 3. Sounds good. And I've lived, I think I mentioned I lived in my present home for 30 years, but an extensive residential community advocate. And the Near East Side, and I'm looking for saying that new community role as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm the last one on the planning committee. My name is Sharif Benson. I'm the vice chair of planning for I've been in Near East for, I think this is year 3, and I want to say I've been on the commission for a year-ish, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, just under a year. Kind of stumbled upon the community when I bought my house. I was looking for a place to live in Columbus, and I came to this neighborhood, and it was the best neighborhood I could find in Columbus at London. So I decided to settle here and been getting involved in things.
Okay, Roy Lowenstein, District 4 Commissioner, zoning chair. I've been living in the neighborhood for 8.5 years.
Joe Weingart, community member, District 2. I've been on the commission as a community member for about 8 years. I've lived in my current home for about 14 and a half, and I lived in Old Town East for 5.
Tony Lococo, community member at large, zoning committee, District 4. Been in East Side for 5 years, and on the committee for a year and a half.
Candace Because, Commissioner for District 3 and Vice Chair for the Zoning Committee. I have been on the commission for 2.5 years. From January, that'll be my last year, and been in the neighborhood almost 4 years now.
Casey Crisp, District 2, Zoning Committee. I've been in Eastgate for 21 years, and I feel like 3 to 4 years on the commission. Thank you. I would like to make one addition to the agenda tonight after we hear the demolition application. I'd like to initiate a discussion about the labels that are on the postcards that we give to folks to send. So please don't try to get up. Okay, under old business, our first property is 533 North Nelson Road.
I'm Jeff Brown, representing the Recycling Center. In 2018, you all supported an application to develop that as is. Since then, their business has grown and everything, and they've moved things around, and the city came out and did an inspection and said that your old site plan doesn't match what's on the ground. So we had to go back through this whole process. And so here is the site plan. I've got some pictures. When I came here before, there were some concerns specifically about the maintenance and the lack of maintenance on the fence and everything. If you've been by or looked at these photographs, you can see that they have repaired the fences and planted additional landscaping out front. So hopefully that answers your question. With that, the second part is you asked us to go talk to the multifamily and the daycare across the street. And we have letters from them saying they don't have an issue with our proposal. So at the end of the day, what we're really doing is updating our site plan. We installed scales that would allow a truck to be weighed before and after, so you can figure out what they dropped off. And so we're asking for a setback variance for the scales, which are behind the fence and everything. And then we did have a storage drop out front, but we've removed that. So that's no longer there. And then the other thing we talked about is wanting to raise the height of our tile. Code says 10. We had talked 30. There was some strong concern about that. So my client said, hey, ask them what they're comfortable with. So if there's a height in terms of with the fencing being repaired and the new screening that the commission would be more happy with, that's what we will go with. So I think that basically answers the questions that we had the last time that I was here, in terms of making sure the maintenance was done, landscaping was cleaned up and improved. And then again, as I said, we removed the drop-off box that was out in front of the fence.
Thank you. I'm now, with any questions, I will start out by saying that I do appreciate the fence covering was really updated. It really does look much better. Landscaping is very good also. And I because I travel north Nelson, I've also noticed that the height of the metal pile has not been as tall as it has been in the past. I appreciate you addressing a lot of the issues that we brought forward. I'm not sure if I, as a committee member, can say what would be the maximum height I would want that to be. Ideally, it would be below the fence, but that's not going to happen because it's only a 6 or 7 foot fence. So I'm just going to throw out a number and let my fellow committee members chime in and disagree with me. But I think it's anywhere from 10 to 15 feet would be the maximum I'd like to see that pile, because it is so obvious from the road. I mean, if it were located in the back of the property, which is impossible.
Right, if you look at the area, you see where the building is.
You know, it probably we wouldn't be having this discussion. So,
I mean, if 15 is against the general, that's fine. I mean, the code requirement is 10, so that would give us a little flexibility.
Any other comments or questions from the planning committee?
I do. So I personally went to these addresses as well to try to get some feedback, from interested parties. I was, only able to get into one of the buildings and leave off, some material. I just have a question about these, letters here. They seem forthright and forthwith, but I do want to ask, was this template provided, to the folks, the interested parties?
Yes. I mean, they drafted a letter and then went over and talked to them about it and told them what was going on and said would they be willing to sign.
Okay, I appreciate it.
My experience is when you're dealing with neighbors and everything, a lot easier to get somebody to sign something when you have something prepared that they were comfortable with signing.
I understand. I think that's my only question.
Thank you for doing that, because I also went there and got it. Yes, Maureen.
What do you have a question?
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question was also about the letter. Did you ask them what their concerns were, or did you just say we're doing construction and are you okay?
I didn't do it, my hire had somebody from the office, I don't know the content of the discussion. But I would think in terms of bringing this up and telling them what we were doing, if they're having different problems for anything we would have heard about. But I'll say we'll come over and said something.
Sorry to ask about the letter again, but this is to the owner manager of the apartments where the tenants actually talk to,
I
like,
don't think so, we talked to the man,
Okay,
the on-site. This is, supportive housing over there that they do, people that issues with homelessness and other special needs over there. We contacted the manager, of this house.
gotcha. Okay, and then, just to kind of, piggyback off the chair's comment, I mean, I would say 10, you know, but the city allows the height 10 feet would probably be in my limit as well. If the fence is 6 to 7 feet high, then that is just my opinion.
Any other planning comments or questions?
Chair, for the point of clarification, you said your recommendation was 12 feet?
I'll be between 10 and 15.
10, between, so you're giving a range. So would it be, acceptable by zoning city to go up to, 12, 15?
I think what
Yeah,
I'm trying to do is in terms of what is acceptable to the community.
Sure.
The code is 10, so we wouldn't be having a discussion before 10. The reality is that depending on the week or even the day, if they get a lot of business, that thing's gonna pile up until they get it offsite and everything. They were just looking for a little flexibility. I would agree that the 30 only on the floor of aggressive. And everything. We looked at and talked to the engineer about could you build somehow a taller fence that created problems in terms of what you had there. Would that look even, not worse, but just more of a catch your eye if you have this big 15-foot right in front of it. So that's why I asked the client, I said, let me just go and see what the conditions.
Thank you.
Any other planning comments?
Just one more. I think you brought up a really good point, that, you know, we're discussing the height, that's really a zoning question, and Bill talked about this. This is more of planning, and I think we talked about the necessity or the beneficialness of the business in the community. We appreciate the changes that have already been made and the fact that you contacted, the interested parties in the area. That is very important, I think, for planning. Folks are getting some of the feedback of some of the folks involved. I understand that the tenants weren't involved in that. That can only go so far. Like I said, I tried to talk to the folks there. I was not able to do it personally myself, so I understand some of the questions too around there. But when we go to vote, just remember that in terms of the 10 to 15 feet, if the city has a requirement of 10, they're here for a variance of whatever that is, 10 to 15, that will really come down to zone far down the side. So that is
Right. And I, on that point, I'd like to remind you that if you go beyond 10 feet, you're gonna still be subject to code violation. So it's,
Yeah, I mean, I understand. But in terms of the reality of business, they do have some fluctuations, so that's why he came back after the first meeting and said, here's the issue. And he just said, you know, if I could get just some flexibility there of a little bit. He's not interested in having to deal with code enforcement on a weekly basis, and this is how this all started. Because this type of use gets inspected by the city, and so they took out the plan that we got approved in 18, said, hey, this doesn't match what you got there. So we've addressed the other issues in the staff report, so we're just looking at we're just looking for your recommendation. And from terms of timing, we were approved in 18, the apartment zoning was done in 20. So, to the extent they knew when they were building what was across the street. I mean, the only thing that really changed, we said a big warehouse that was in one
Yes.
parking lot.
okay, zoning, Chair Williston.
Thank you. So how high is this screen?
6, approximately, 6 to 7 probably, well.
It seems to me that the screen was higher.
No, they haven't changed.
So I'm just trying to look at this from your perspective. Like, because the thing that is problematic is driving on Nelson, or if you live there, looking at it and you see this big pile of junk. Now, saying it's junk, I don't mean it is junk. So,
We
it's
think
that's a
saleable-
rightful observation.
Recycling material.
It's saleable junk.
Unappealing to us.
Huh?
It's unappealing to us.
Yeah, that's all. It is what it is. We all know it. So I'm trying to see, is there any other way to screen it better so that you could go above 10 feet without it being an eyesore? You see where I'm going?
I know, I mean, we
Like
sat
if-
with the engineer and said, you know, can we move this further back? And the difficulty is you got the building there and there are doors there in terms of being able to move it
Okay.
in and out. Now, I think if all the evergreens that they had, you know, the existing evergreens are fairly tall, if that was a whole solid row,
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
we're probably not having this detailed type of discussion.
I agree with you.
There are gaps in there.
I agree with you, Alan. So it seems to me, I mean, I drive on Nelson Road full time, and it seems to me the pile is fairly close to the fence.
It's backed off. If you look at the site plan drawings,
Yeah, I am looking at it, and where exactly is?
You can see it.
Is that? I'm not
That's
even
it.
sure that it is.
no,
so-
This isn't, remember.
if you flip that drawing,
Oh, the drawing here. Oh, give me one more. This is gonna rotate. Oh, it will, okay.
all right, well, obviously, this is Nelson Road, here's the landscaping, and this is the area where the pile can go. So this is back probably, 12 feet in terms of the closest spot, but behind the fence and the landscaping.
Yeah,
We do have this visual representation. This is literally what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it goes up.
so my question is, I understand the building is where it is, but the parking is quite a bit further back. And I'm just wondering, would it make sense to have the pile of recycling, being friendly there, put like back where the parking lot is? So it would be
No, I mean,
further away?
that wouldn't work in terms, you gotta have the circulation for the parking and everything, and you've got a pinch point with the builder. I mean, if the commission isn't comfortable with the variance, then we'll.
Well, I was just trying to explore.
I know,
what the alternative.
we had this conversation, that's what I asked the engineer, I said, okay, can we find places back here that you can actually move it?
Yeah.
And just with the fact of where the building is and where the access doors, where they bring, not front loaders, forklifts in and out. It comes out on that east side, so that operationally in terms of the outside versus the inside.
Well,
is a problem.
all right, well, if there is no alternative, not, you know, it's your decision. If there's no alternative, then I kind of agree with what Chair Wright said about the height. I mean, maybe a little higher, than the 10 foot allowed, but it just seems to me that, going much higher than that is going to.
No, I understand, and again, I mean, if we had a complete row of evergreens as shown in that picture, then I don't think we're probably having that sort of
No.
discussion, because that's gonna block your view when you're going up
But
Nelson
we
Road.
don't,
I know.
so, and even though you've planted some new bushes, trees, whatever they are.
Years.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
10 years before they're.
Well, maybe I'll be back, well, I will. Somebody
Somebody
will be back in 10 years.
So okay, I got.
I mean, I guess
nothing else.
my suggestion at the end of the day, if you're comfortable, if someone makes a motion, then put a number in, or don't put it.
Well, I don't feel that's our job. See, that, it isn't our job to come up with a number for you. We react to the applications for zoning change that people bring to us.
All right, well,
And then I would be asking a similar question. If we take somebody on the street or in an SUV driving by with their eyes 6 feet off the ground, and we draw a line from those eyes above whatever screen you have, what's that height? And you would have to say, well, we're within that, but it's not our job
yeah,
to
okay.
decide for you.
But
what
I
height.
think
So I would
you're
like.
better off looking forward as opposed to side when you're traveling. But I will
That's
suggest.
a great thought.
I would suggest, I'll put out 15 feet and let's see what happens. I understand, but I just wanted to show the commission that the line was open and.
Anyone else on zoning?
I have-
We got, I think, Commissioner Kukoc was first.
Can you please clarify, because you had several code violations that there were variances, is the only one we're still talking about the height of the pile? So
There were things about inoperable cars and some tires and all that stuff has been cleaned up and removed, and they were not part of the variance. So the reality of what we're asking for is a setback variance for the scale and the scale house, which is the person who is in there who does whatever and gives you the ticket, and then the pile height.
Okay, thank you.
So those are the only changes from what was previously approved by the commission, and then again, it's the updated site plan that's just landscaping and what we're.
Okay, and then it's hard to tell, what is the material that is on?
It is that green mesh
It's
that
green,
you see,
it's the
yeah.
same green, it's just a new
Yeah.
version of it?
Yeah, what they did is they went out and what I found was more successful is I talked to my client's wife and she got on it and everything. The only other thing that was interesting, there is a bus stop on their side of the street, and they have tried repeatedly with POTA to see if they will put a trash barrel out or something, and they have no luck. So they sometimes have issues with people waiting for the bus that leaves stuff.
Is still there?
Looks like it's trash.
Yeah, as
There
of
was-
July
wasn't-
2025. Yeah, I don't
There
know
wasn't
if
one the
I
last time I was out there.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I don't care how high the fence is, I think it's not gonna look any better than it does now. It's a chain link fence with green mesh on it. I would prefer to see some mature trees planted over a 15-foot high fence, because I think it's going to look just as bad as we have right now. I think we all talk about, yeah, if the trees were taller, why don't we just plant some trees and screen it with some mature trees that are much closer together? You know, my own opinion. But if you're looking for a height, you know, I don't know, 12-foot, 15-foot high chain link fence, how secure, first of all, is that? I mean, how are you gonna how are you gonna hold up a 15-foot high chain link?
I don't
They're
think
not
he's not
proposing that.
proposing to change
They're
it.
just wanting to pile.
They just want the pile.
Not
And
the fence.
Oh,
So
the
the fence
pile,
stays.
we're talking about
Yeah,
how high,
that's
the
why I was
pile, you know?
asking about that.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
But we did look at, could you do a taller fence and everything, that created all other problems in terms of that particular.
I apologize, I
And
completely
setbacks.
misunderstood. Okay.
The pile.
If you look at it, you can see that it's probably about 10 feet right now, if that fence is 6 to
Yeah.
7, and
Yeah.
that pile is most likely at 10 right there.
Yeah, I think probably not, because the code violation finding which one was level.
We don't know when, that is a still for July 2025, I don't mean to say that that's incorrect, I just, from what I can see, it looks to be.
I was completely
Absolutely.
confused
That's why I
about
wanted to
this,
clarify.
I apologize.
Okay,
You had said that you had a project for Woodland Park. Is this the one you were talking about? Because if it is,
Well, Mr. Rice, in this recent email about coming to this meeting, said, hey, by the way, we want you to go to this neighborhood group.
okay, because for this particular project, if that's what you are referring to, that would be Eastgate.
You know, excuse me here. I looked at the map now, the map, that's the only thing I can go on. Eastgate does not include this part of Wilson Run.
Would be Shepherd or Eastgate, or both.
Say it again.
Shepherd or Eastgate or both, or Eastgate and Shepherd kind of come together there.
Shepherd?
I thought Shepherd was a part of North, so
Yeah.
that's
Central,
what Shepherd was
or
north of
northeast.
670.
Northeast, because I thought they were on the other side. Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
Oh,
My map is not 100% accurate, it's based on historical data.
I got
From Google, I just want to clarify that, but it is the best that I could find.
Yeah, but I may not have, I'm looking at the map now where 670 is, and I may be wrong, that it is actually Eastgate.
Yeah, because Eastgate, as far as I could tell, inside
It's
this.
Eastgate adjacent.
Adjacent, yeah, because this is supposedly Eastgate based on historical data, and then this
Well,
is.
see, that's where the Amazon,
Yeah, that's the Amazon parking lot warehouse.
Yeah,
Right there.
so it is difficult to tell because it is.
so that would be north.
Yes,
So do you
Eastgate.
not think it's in Woodland Park?
It's definitely not Woodland Park, because
Okay.
our western boundary, or excuse me, eastern boundary is, the train tracks.
Oh, I see, so it may just be an area that really is
It's
sort
not
of
Oregon,
orphan.
yes. that's
When the housing was being built across the street from this, they came to Eastgate. I don't know if they also went to Shepherd, but they definitely came to Eastgate.
Yeah,
Is that the one?
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my only question, just because I wanted to make sure that you get to the appropriate civic. But I will also mention that when, since you brought up the apartments, North East Area Commission said that when there's projects this close to their commission, they would like a heads up from us. But just to put that out there, but that was my only question.
Yeah.
I would just say, I don't see a need for overriding code enforcement, code focus, because I mean, 10 feet is the code, and I think that should stay. I don't have any issue with the guard out, or the scale house, because it's behind the fence, you don't really see it. And it's definitely not an eyesore like that's in this world. And that has gotten out of control at times. It's much better now, and the fence looks much better. But it got real bad. But I also agree that put up green, it looks like maybe those are green giants that they put up. That's a good choice, because they'll grow real fast, and they'll put more of them. And then, maybe we can get out, go one halfway after that.
We're not gonna educate you to not follow the code.
That's true.
Yes.
That's why we're asking for the variance.
Yeah, so I can't speak to zoning, but over here, it seems like there's kind of a middle ground here, right? I don't know how long ago you planted those trees. I don't know the feasibility of planting more trees, but it seems like that solves the problem. And it seems like once you have tall enough trees, maybe folks would allow the leeway of 10 to 15 feet because we
Yeah, I
can see
mean, I
the
understand
pocket.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I just want to.
Can I add another comment?
Yeah.
So I would also recommend, if there is money for planting more greenery, rocket junipers grow very fast as well. And they get to be about 15 or so feet. So, I mean, that would help definitely break up this along the houses to have more greenery.
At least along where the track is.
Yeah, yeah.
I get the sense, maybe I'm just throwing a suggestion out, like, if you were to make a commitment to put in more trees, you might be willing to agree to a higher level, but no? You wanna wait? So I'm just saying, like, that's a possibility, but. All right, well, back to you.
All right, so my final comment is that I have been, advised that I'm wrong about one civic group you need to talk to. At this point, I'm going to say you don't need to talk to any civic group, but I need to contact Northeast.
Yeah, Northeast Area Commission.
Okay, I will contact the Northeast Area Commission and give them your contact information so they can actually talk to you before the general body meeting if they choose. Okay, are there any other comments from either the zoning or the planning committee? Are there any community comments? Yes, please identify yourself.
Robert Ferris, living in Morningside Commission Area 2. And like everyone else here, I drive up and down Madison Road probably at least 5 to 10 times a day. And actually I find that recycling place offensive to my eyes. It's hard for me to just drive and look straight ahead and not see it. Can't be done. You know, so I just think it's an eyesore, and to allow to have 10 to 15 feet, that means you're going, what, 9 feet above the fence at the max, and waiting for trees to blossom. You know, I may grow hair by that time. But, so my wife wishes. But I mean, it's just an eyesore to any community, I think. And this type of industry should probably be located in more of an industrial park. I realize that it's coming somewhat that way, but it's just not conducive. I don't feel to the neighborhood. I don't notify the neighbors. I don't know. I wasn't privy to the letter. So I don't know if they notified people that live south of Maryland Avenue, or the people that live on Maryland Avenue, or if they just notified the property owners across the street, which is 2 people or 2 entities. That's not really notifying the neighborhood to me. So I think it's a commission that we should look at. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I mean, we notify the people that the city tells us to notify. The community involvement is us coming out to your life.
Well, yes. At this point, I'd like to, I will entertain a motion to approve. Just for the zoning or the planning committee members' notification, we are not voting on the variances. That is the job of this zoning. We are voting on this project as it currently stands is acceptable to community.
So motion to approve Benson.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second, Shields.
Shields. Any further discussion on the motion?
I will make a comment. I have used that recycling facility. I make a discussion just to kind of explain that business. He is an opening discussion. The chair is.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So I would like to say that businesses like this in the New York side, especially ones that are willing to engage with you, are important to have around. This is an area that is already planning on being, as far as I understand, it's already zoned for industrial warehouse. So this is a business that allows people to recycle goods. I think it's a benefit to the community. There's discussion we had about the height of the pile, the zoning issues that we've had, but I don't feel as though all of those issues are a city concern that we are voting on for planning, and I'll leave it with that.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. 4, those opposed. 4-0, the motion passes. Thank you. And Chair Losing will manage.
All right, so what's the date of the site visit meeting for December? Let's see, the second to Thursday.
Would be
I think it's the
General
6th.
body.
December 6th.
So site visit is Saturday.
Saturday, December 6th.
December 6th, so you know the drill here,
Yeah.
you've been here before. So here are the cards, and so the date would be December 6th, and it would be 9 a.m. And we want to be able to go inside the fence,
Okay.
but I want to make sure that that's safe to do when we're there. I don't feel we can decide this, if we're gonna have a site visit meeting, we should be able to go inside, so we need to take some
Do you,
precaution.
when you mean inside, you want to be inside the fence or you want to be in the, inside the building?
I don't know what's in the building, I'm just saying, I think we would wanna get inside the fence, just so that we could observe things
Okay.
that you can't see through the fence.
Okay.
But we wanna make sure that we're not gonna, no one's getting them.
I will make sure no one gets run over. That would be very
Well,
important to the
no one-
application.
Yeah, cause will it be open at that time, do you think?
I believe they are open on Saturday, but if
Okay.
they're not, we'll make arrangements so that we can do them.
Okay, great, I just wanted to mention that.
Commissioner Rice, can we make sure that we have a very clear description on what was just like a specific motion on the vote, like how you guys? Yeah.
I'm kind of unclear on mobile system.
We basically approve the project as it stands, as the application. We've approved the application.
But what is, like, the
You're-
thing we talked
you're
about
voting
was the
on
height of
variances.
the pile, and like, what did you just approve?
The variances, we're not voting on the variances, we're voting on the appropriateness of the application to the meeting.
See, I don't think that's the case. If you change,
Moving forward, that's the.
yeah, I heard for the first time today that your view is you're not voting on variances, but the planning committee has always voted, in the 6 years I've been on the commission, we've always voted on the variances that created this case. I understand that the approach being taken is less technical and more of a, how does the community feel about this? But I've never heard before that the planning committee was not voting on the variances that constitute the zoning case that's in front of us.
Because if you're not looking at the variances, we don't have community design standards, so what are you looking?
Well, we do have some preliminary design standards. The city is good.
I'm also using the draft. The reason I put that up there is the land use is appropriate for what it is currently zoned and what it's usually, what it's gonna be zoned for in the future.
But they're not asking, the request from the applicant wasn't to change the land use. That was never even on the table.
But it was to move, as I understand, the scale for the product, and we are not voting, like, I tried to make it clear that we weren't voting on the height of the pile, because that is a specifically
I thought this was work.
But that is
They
what
were
we're
asking
voting
for
on.
variances,
Yes.
so you have to either approve or disapprove the variances in the application in which they are asking.
Okay.
That's why the commission exists.
I thought.
If there were no variances, then the application wouldn't be here.
They could still bring it up for planning, for planning.
But it's not
That
a
is correct.
conceptual review. There's actually a zoning case been filed, and if you're voting on that, you're voting on what they're asking as a zoning change. Perhaps, as I said, from a slightly different perspective, that's more, how do people feel about this in terms of impact on the community rather than a technical, a little bit more technical approach, but I don't feel you've given zoning an easy task of considering at site visit meetings what your position is, because we do refer to that.
If I can make a point of clarification for discussion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, from our understanding, we were not voting on the height of pile. We are not in favor of the height of the pile over the 10 feet as we have all kind of discussed. So but that is one, if what you're saying is we're voting on that specific variance, that's one of the many variances on this list.
But the applicant clarified their position being they're only asking for 2 variances. They're asking for variance to allow the pile to go above 10 feet, and they asked for it to be 50.
Okay.
And there's also a variance associated with what?
The
Scale.
And the scale house.
Yeah,
So
those are the 2 things that they're asking for.
for me, one motion, we could make a motion was to clarify what was the variance.
Do you feel you didn't vote on those things?
It seems there may be some confusion on the clarity of what we voted on if you're asking us to vote specifically on those 2 pieces.
Well,
That's why.
I felt as though we were voting on just the use of which would include the scale, not also the height of the pile. If we are in favor of the project as it stands, I would just make another motion to clarify that.
I think, there are 2 thoughts that come to mind. One, this particular issue keeps coming up between planning and zoning, and I'd like for it to be finally hammered out in the executive meeting of the board. In terms of what we have done today, I am willing to entertain a motion that will clarify what we voted on so we can move on.
Okay, so I'm just trying to word this motion now. I make a motion in favor of the land use, not in favor of the extension of the height pile.
I'm not,
I don't know that we can do that. I feel like once you voted, I'm worried that we're putting the integrity of the planning committee at risk. I think that these are all things that can come up at a general body meeting now, and that you voted, we now understand sort of what the intent was after this discussion here, and at executive session, we can discuss the future of the differences between planning and zoning. But I am concerned that we are treading in not great territory if we entertain another motion after a motion has already been seconded and voted on.
Because it sets a precedent. You can't do that. You once you make a motion and vote, you're done.
That's fine. We can move on.
All right.
Jeff, you want these back?
I'm sure I'll take them back and recycle them for the next meeting.
I just want to bring the sort of
Okay.
that's fine.
You can work, go back.
The next, under new business, we have one property.
I'm
it's
sorry.
506 Miller Street.
That's right, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So, is the zoning committee, the variance committee can then vote
Yes.
on the site? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
the
vote.
zoning committee will be there and we'll vote at the site.
Okay. Thank you.
It's over if you want me to give us this. And then just let me know that he's left this.
All right, please introduce yourself, and you have about 5 minutes to describe your project.
All right, hey everybody. A lot of you might know me by now. I am Josh Telme. I am an architect and I'm a South of Maine resident, so I've been through here a couple of times. I've been living in the area for 5 years, and since then, I took my first house, and I've now rehabbed 2 homes and built 2 homes in our neighborhood. About a year and a half ago, I left my job as a commercial architect downtown and started working for myself. Since then, I've been working in my living room, my kitchen, and I would love to have a space to do that outside of my home. So, of course, I started looking within South of Maine, and I said, is there any spaces that I could rent that would be appropriate for this? Unfortunately, South of Maine has experienced a lot of disinvestment over the last 50 years, and there is not. So I think we have around 5 businesses that are not social services in general. We have a lot of vacant buildings, not a lot of space available. So I landed on purchasing a lot 2 blocks from my house on Miller Avenue and Mountain Street. Most people might know it because there's a used car shop, kitty corner from it, and then Columbus Collegiate, which faces Main Street, is the school that's on the other opposite corner. I thought this would be great because it would give me a lot of visibility for people kind of heading to and from the interstate ramps. And it's another corner of South of Maine that needs some investment. So it's a block and a half from my house. Very excited to walk to work. This should work out. But what I'm proposing for you guys today is a whole slew of variances. A lot of them are triggered by the fact that I'm proposing to split the parcels. One of the questions that will come up is, Josh, why are you trying to split the parcels? Well, I'm a normal person. I am wearing my lowercase developer hat, but there's a very good chance that I need to phase the project because I'm not independently wealthy. So as I kind of explore how do I get these built, that allows me to do so, as well as for the project type, which Sharif has some renderings for you guys to take a look at. The corner building is a traditional Main Street style building. So super similar to what you would see on Oak Street or Ohio Champion, these smaller walk-up commercial building types that we had in homes for the last 100 years, and I'm trying to bring that a little bit back. So it's about 3,000 square feet, so the size of a larger single-family home. On the ground floor, there will be 3 small commercial bays between 200 and 300 square feet. So when I say small, I mean small. They're about the size of big bedrooms, if you want to think about it that way. On floors 2 and floors 3, there will be a through floor apartment, so 1 apartment per floor. So this building close to the corner will have 2 apartments and 3 very small commercial spaces. I plan to hold the corner of the commercial space. My barber, who I've been going to for 8 years, plans to hold one of them as well. And then the remainder of those spaces, one of them will be set up for rent. Behind that building, I'm proposing to build 2 duplexes. Again, having built 2 single-family homes in the area, I'm excited to kind of get a little bit more of an affordable price point in terms of the rent, as well as this is a building type that's super common in our area. We have duplexes all over the place. Behind my project and all of the closest neighboring properties are either multifamily in the form of small 12-unit apartment buildings or duplexes themselves, if you go down the street. Anyways, so in general, tons of variances related to the fact that the lot is being split to accommodate these projects. But generally, I'm asking for everyone to kind of see the forest through the trees here and help me reinvest in the corner of South of Maine that I live in.
Thank you. Would you review the variances for the 3 lots that are in common?
Yeah, I think Sharif can pull it up here, but in basically all of the scenarios, I'll go over the ones that are kind of the most common. One, even if I wanted to build a single family house on the lot today, the lot is not big enough as it exists because of the way the zoning code is written. The next most common is the building lines. So on the far side of Mountain Street, the home is built up to the street. As you get on Miller, the home is nearly built up to the street. But if you go east on Mountain Street, the house is set back 25 feet. So that's the one that they're using as my building line. So I'm creating an urban building condition where the buildings are fairly close to the street. The duplexes will be about 8 feet back, so still enough room to allow for a landscaped front yard. And then the commercial buildings will be only about 2 feet back because it's an urban commercial building in the way that it's proposed. So that's one of the more common. I am 1% short on backyard space on one of the duplexes, so that one's in there as well. I think Sharif has a nice site plan for you guys to show, but there will be a continuous green backyard that actually runs behind all the buildings, which I think will be really, really nice. I have that with my current properties because the other 3 are in a row. And so me and the tenants who live together, we all share our backyard right now as well. So the side yard, the rear yard, and the front yard are all built based on the building lines. Landscaping and screening, I need a variance because the parking faces the building without greenery in between it. They need 3 feet, I believe, to be considered an actual planted vegetated strip. There's only 18 inches. Maneuvering because I'm 2 inches short in alleyway width. So I'm requesting a variance for 2 inches. And then we are also requesting a parking variance. The duplexes will have 5 parking spaces, but then the corner building will be considered to have none. Yeah, right.
So is there parking on Miller or Main Street for the commercial?
It will be both, yeah. So if you are looking at the site plan view, the lot is of course a corner lot, so it stretches the whole length of the Mountain Street side. And scroll down one for me, Sharif. There you go. So you can see the 5 parking spaces on the back off of the alleyway, and then you have that full long frontage there on Mountain Street. I'm blessed to be across the street from a school as well, so there's no overnight users. There's nobody who's going to be kind of jockeying for those spots, so to speak. Also, let alone the fact that I live in the neighborhood, I will certainly not be going to work that way. My barber will not be going to work that way. So this is meant to be community-oriented businesses, and I'm trying to go from 5 to 8 in terms of businesses in South of Maine. So hopefully I get someone else to sign up who's just working out of their kitchen or whatever and decided to rent a small space.
Are there any comments or questions from planning?
Can you pull up the renderings?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can cycle through them as you ask.
So this is the corner building that we're talking about, that small commercial with 2 apartments above those small commercial spaces.
And then this is facing, I'm sorry, this is facing.
This is facing Miller.
Miller.
Next is this. And the residential portion faces Mountain Street, which is more of a residential street. So these are the duplexes. Yeah, you can see that everyone has their own arrival balcony for their own space, and then as you saw in the site plan, there's backyard space behind them. And this is the corner view. So if you're driving down Miller heading towards the freeway, this will be the vista that you see.
Sorry, this way.
Yep, that's the intersection on the Google Maps. So, yeah, our current neighboring properties is a vacant house, then a vacant lot, then a vacant house, and then 2 more vacant lots. So we're really trying to just dig in and, help bring a little bit of life. I should also say that I, of course, attended the South of Maine meeting on Saturday, as I often do, and we're definitely for you. So, no community concerns, big thumbs up from all of my friends attended. So, I see Sharif there.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just one more question. Just because it's on a projector, so it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
And in your plans, you have, it looks like the facade of the corner building being brick.
It's not brick, it's hardy. So it's a fiber cement product, it's shingled.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then it will be painted.
Gotcha. But it will have, it'll have some texture there.
Yeah,
It'll
there's
just be like
there's
what we have been seeing.
I don't think you can see very well on this. There's a line work drawing that was submitted with the application, the line work elevations that show you what this extrude material. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I think that should give you a good indication of all the texture.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Any other planning questions? What is the, one of the things we deal with is lot coverage. What is the lot coverage for each of these So I'm assuming each duplex is on a lot, and your commercial buildings are on, or commercial building that we're concerned about, it's the duplexes, how much of the lot is covered by that?
None of them need variance for lot coverage. So the duplexes are both under, again, I was 1% under on backyard space for one of the duplexes, so there's a variance for that. But when you include the front yards and the side yards, I was not over on lot coverage for anything. And then commercial buildings don't have a maximum coverage technically, but there is still green space because I have a planting strip that I've proposed to put 4 trees in between the residential buildings.
If there are no other planning questions, Commissioner Knowles.
Thank you. So, you know, when applicants come forward, it's personal involvement in the thing, whatever it is, there's this tendency for us all to go, oh, that's great. And it is. On the other hand, you know, the building's gonna be there for 100 years. And so we can't just rely on what your intentions are for how the property is gonna be used. And so there is a bit of a concern about the lack of off-street parking. I mean, the next user of those commercial spaces may well be somebody who's driving in from Whitehall or something, you know, it's like, we have to, in order to support that, we have to be comfortable for the long haul, just let you know. So it is somewhat underparked. On the other hand, I would say it's got 2 streets that are not heavily parked, and with the school across the street, and you've got the car shop catty corner. It doesn't seem like there's gonna be residential parking that you're gonna be competing with heavily. So even though it's underparked, I'm just saying, personally, I feel somewhat comfortable about that, but reasonable people could disagree about that one. In your favor, I would say it's very clever design, I think. You got a lot on this property without it using up every square inch. It's like there's a green space behind it. It's putting that building at the corner that evokes, as you say, Main Street. That's what I thought as soon as I saw that. It's like, that's classy, and it is a location that really needs some love. You know, we've had cases a little like this. A few years ago, I remember somebody came in, I don't remember if they built it out or not, but somebody had something along St. Clair near Mount Vernon, and it was really, you know, challenging location. And we sort of cut the applicant some slack in terms of, I don't remember if it was lot coverage or density or something because of economic necessity, you know, because values were not high. And I feel we have a little bit of that same situation here, where I think there's a tendency maybe to go with something that's attractive and a big upgrade for the location, even if we're a little bit troubled by the setbacks off the street. And anyone who knows me, you know, I argue both sides of everything. And what I see is, even though that's a bit of a challenge, along Mound Street, there really is no consistency of what the setbacks are. If you go on the other side of Miller, that building that's on the other corner is not set back as far as the ones that are further east on Mound. And so I'm not as troubled by violating a solid line of setbacks. So those are generally things in your favor, even though.
And I would love to hop in on just
Yeah.
the lot line versus right of way component. So whereas on Miller Avenue, the commercial building will only be set back 1'2". The right of way is very wide. So the space that includes the sidewalk, the grass, and the planting strip. So beyond, Miller, I meant to say on Elm Street, so that area has a tree berm, as you can see, and then there's a sidewalk, and then there's 3 feet, and that's when the property line starts. So like, you know, it's really 12 feet from the curb, let's say, before you even get to the property. Correct.
How far is the face of the building from the curb?
I would say 12 feet
12 feet.
Because of just what is considered to be city
All
property.
around.
So while I'm only 1 foot from my property line, I'm, 12 or 13 feet from
From
the
the curb.
So one other thing I did want to point out, so we get these all the time where somebody is trying to convince us not to be worried about the line of sight from the street because it's a one-way street, which Miller clearly is. At some point, they could come back and say Miller and Kelton are both two-way streets. So at that point, you've got a bit of a blind spot if you were to be northbound on Miller and you're looking at traffic coming westbound on Mound.
Yep.
So it's like, that's a bit of a concern. I'm not saying it's decisive in my view of the thing, but I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. Other.
I was gonna say, and I can touch on that too. So since I'm a commercial building, I'm going through site compliance. So site compliance is, I'll say, level up. That's the city employees level of traffic. The Department of Traffic Management has reviewed and approved this plan. They also they don't currently have plans to make Miller a two-way because of the entrance ramps, is what they say.
Yeah, I
So
can understand that.
due to the freeway entrance ramps, it's unlikely 70 will ever be removed. I can only wish. But because of that, it is most likely never going to be.
That's a really good
non-motorized.
point. Some of
So-
the other ones we've looked at that aren't like that. Can we get the city planners report? We used to get them routinely and we don't get them now.
You can have the preliminary site compliance comments if you want, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, before this gets to general body, we would like to get the city's review of your project.
Yeah, I'll ask my liaison why he hasn't emailed, because he's supposed to email it to you guys, so.
But we don't get them anymore.
You have to go onto the portal.
I know.
You're in the portal. It's right here.
So I'm just saying, hey, I'm lazy. When you
Sure.
send that, can you send that?
Yeah,
to
I'll
us?
find
That'd
out.
be great.
You just send it to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, you're good.
All right. Other members' comments?
Yeah, so, my biggest concern, and I think this is one of those things that we're gonna have to take a look at when we get to the site, is for your commercial building, right now, you're showing it's 3 feet, 6 inches off of the lot line. Is that
Yeah, from the
accurate?
side.
Yeah, from the side.
On
Yeah.
Miller, do you mean? Or on?
Next, I'm worried about where the house is. It's right now, that house is abandoned.
Yeah.
But at some point, it might not be abandoned,
Mhm.
and it looks like from the aerial that it also is right on its lot line. And I'm interested in knowing how close your structure is going to be to that one. So at the site visit, can you please either stake it or know where it's gonna be so that we can look at that? Please.
Yep, it is 3 feet 4 inches on their side.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be really, really close.
yeah, it would be wonderful to note, or important to note, that if I did no variances and built a single family home, the setback requirement would be 3 feet. So I'm not asking for more than if I was following the regular setback guidelines.
I understand, but for me, it kind of goes along the same lines as what Commissioner Lowenstein was saying is we're evaluating what you're asking for us to evaluate, not hypothetical things that you aren't asking us to evaluate. So I appreciate that. But this is very, ingenuitive, so I appreciate that.
Other members, yes.
So first of all, I just want to say I love your design, but my one question is, when I travel Miller to get to the freeway from East Market, I've seen what appears to me vacant commercial space at Main and Miller. So, because like you've said, you're not independently wealthy, so I would figure you'd want to focus on that. Because like pointing out the abandoned house, have you tried to reach out to those people to see if they're willing to sell?
The person who owns the abandoned house is currently going through the court system for crime. I have looked to see if they would sell the house. His name is Jose. That's all I could figure out about him, and he lives in Reynoldsburg.
Okay. But other than that, I love your renderings. I think it is good. I just,
I mean, as you say, they've been across the street from me when I came to attend a meeting for a fourplex, and they've all seen my home and the ones I've rehabbed, and I've been investing in our neighborhood for 5 years. Sharif knows me as somebody who comes to the South of Maine meetings. I'm intentionally building here.
Yeah, I know, I've been to several of your site visits.
I want to develop on purpose.
Okay.
To increase the attractiveness and the character of our area.
All right.
So.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it fits very well in the neighborhood. I think you did an incredible job of squeezing a lot on that site without it looking and feeling
Crowded.
too crowded. You're under the ratio, which I think is great. You have backyard space for, you know, the residential units. And I was responsible for cleaning up the school across the street.
Good.
So, nice job.
Anything else? Back to you.
Are there any community comments on this project?
I was coming for your time. I like what you
Would you
did.
please introduce yourself?
Maryland Rice and Woodland Park Neighborhood Association. I'd like to say thank you because you did your green space and everybody's forgetting that. People are forgetting there's kids, there's dogs, there's everything, so I like that. I like what you've done. I like what you've done in the past with other time. So I'm gonna say thank you.
Any other community comments? Hearing none, I'd like a motion to approve the project, please.
So moved, Benson.
Second,
Shields is second.
all those in favor, please raise your hand. 500. Thank you. 600.
Bob, you raised your hand too.
Oh, yeah, yes. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much. And
So,
now,
The next step, site visit meeting, December 6th.
Because I think if it's probably at night.
Do you think that's gonna take a while? Huh?
I-
All right, let's go 9:30 then. I feel like if I went against that, I would be really in trouble. Just do the first one, which is over. You know the drill.
Thanks, Josh. Nice to see you.
Trail.
Are you taking those with you or are you gonna do it tonight?
I'll bring them and drop them off at his.
Okay, so by Tuesday next week?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Josh. See you.
okay, the next property is a demolition application for 476 Henley.
Yes. Hi, my name is Carlo Cavasi. I would fill those big shoes that just passed me. I'm just trying to demo that property. It's sitting on grade. And the porch fell down on it recently to tip over.
That's it.
Yes. 750 square feet. No historic relevance that I could find. It's built completely wrong. We got permits to go work on it. Side, it was sitting on grade. There's no foundations.
Oh, that's what you meant, buddy.
Yeah. It's sure. And it's just, it's built not by any code whatsoever, not built 100-year-old homes. And they have some sense of engineering and code. This thing is just, wow, junk stuff.
So like the wood frame to sit in some gravel or dirt?
Great, it shifted, whatever wood was there is gone, it's sitting.
Yeah, termites probably have had
I've seen my stuff during the day. This is a transition. So the other properties that have become available, we can have a larger conversation about site plan. We may assume you guys, the plan that we have for you. I've been in the area since 2005.
Any questions from planning? I drove by and yes, it does need to be demolished. So, hearing no other comments, I would like a motion to approve the demolition application.
So moved, Benson.
Sam moves.
I guess I'm off the beat.
Jill,
Second.
all those in favor, please raise your hand. 600, motion passed. there is an approval letter that we need to give you, but I have never seen it, so if you can wait until the meeting is over, I'll talk to Mr. Baye and find out, if he has the, approval letter here and from us.
And, if it's for convenience, getting late in the evening, my office can email you, if you're in touch with you, and then get it that way, is that?
Yes, that would be fine too.
I'd love to stay, I learned a lot, I wish I went sooner, but I'm glad. Like I said, I've been here since 2005, and you guys have helped me start my business, so I really wish all the best to Josh as well. I kind of started with that. Please get that, so,
Nice thing
for what you guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the last item on the agenda has to do with the labels to be distributed. The labels are generated by the city, and they use the Franklin County Auditor site to send the postcards to the owners of the property, which means we are not notifying rental properties their current residents. So I've talked to Mr. Baye about what we can do to remedy that, because I'd like to get renters involved in NEAC activities. And so I just wanted to let people know that we're trying to come up with a solution. It doesn't require a lot of work on our part, but if it does, I'm willing to see what we can do. Oh, sure, yeah.
I think the intent is to get everyone involved, all of those that have a stake in the community, whether or not they own the property in the neighborhood or renting and are contributing to the neighborhood. We want to make sure that we all have a voice that is recognized and is part of this process.
This city requirement. So as a clarification, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The letters that go out, is a city requirement to only property owners?
Yeah.
Not just an address?
Yes. Yeah, it's always been that way. I mean,
Yeah.
We send them out to the same folks that will get the notices when the case is going to council or CA.
Right.
It's just a repetition
But
of
it's a
that.
property owner, not,
Yeah,
we're not
it's always
sending
been
this to
within
addresses within
125 feet. It's always been that way, like for 50 years.
I just want to add to the discussion that when we had an on-site hearing on Hildreth, we saw several renters that came out that had no idea, that were very interested. So I have always been that stance that whether you're a property owner or a renter, you deserve to know what's going on around you.
Further, our community will be better when renters and property owners alike become engaged.
Yeah, because landlords don't always communicate very good.
No.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Benson and Shields. So moved, Benson. Second Shields. I want folks to get involved, it makes it more comfortable if you go to the next one. All right.